What happens when you lock a blunt liberal truth-teller like Bill Maher in a room with a cold, calculated GOP strategist like Scott Jennings? You get a no-holds-barred face-off on the Constitution, political hypocrisy, and raw power served extra spicy. In this explosive episode of Overtime, Maher goes for the jugular, torching McConnell's Supreme Court playbook and calling out what he sees as a GOP double standard. Jennings, cool as ice, fires back, calling it strategic, legal, and unapologetic. From Garland to Barrett, this isn't a debate, it's a courtroom battle for democracy. And when Maher throws the Constitution on the table, it gets fiery. Add in Trump versus Taylor Swift and the Iowa agency relocation debate, and you've got a wild ride between Maher's fury and Jennings' fireproof.com. Popcorn ready. Let's go.
Anyway, what do you believe will be Mitch McConnell's legacy? I guess that's who you'd be replacing, right?
Yeah.
When you run for Senate, if you run for Senate.
He's up in 26. Supreme Court, I mean, without question. I mean, he had a long career, 42 years, won 7 elections in Kentucky, but without question, I think his legacy is the court, specifically the Supreme Court. If he doesn't hold that seat open in the 2016 election, I'm not sure President Trump would have won, and then the cascade of appointments that followed will change the course of this country for a generation.
Let's talk about the political chess move that flipped the future and lit the match for one of the rawest Maher versus Jennings showdowns yet. Jennings stands firm behind McConnell, calling him the architect of a conservative Supreme Court era. Blocking Garland was genius, he argues. It set the stage for Trump to tilt the court right, but Maher, he's had it. No chill, all fire. He calls it what it is, a legal hit job cloaked in fake rules. Maher is still fuming about Garland's stonewall and Barrett's fast track just weeks before the 2020 vote. Hypocrisy. He says the GOP wrote the manual. This isn't a legal spat. It's a war over what kind of democracy we want.
And usually when a president is in office, he gets to choose who the Supreme Court nominee. He wanted Merrick Garland, and Mitch McConnell would not even give him a hearing. That was unprecedented. What is the latest bullshit argument why that's okay?
If the bullshit you're referring to is the advise and consent clause of the U.S. Constitution,
No.
that's the argument.
At the time, the argument was it's too close to an election. It was 2015.
Well, that wasn't the full argument. The full argument was we had divided government, and then the American people were going to make a decision, and they did, and they chose a
18
Republican
months
president.
later.
Well, as I just said in the editorial, if it had been the other way around, you would have went apeshit about it. If somebody had tried, you'd have been cool with it.
Well, I lived through the Bush years when the Democrats in the Senate did everything they could possibly do to obstruct George W. Bush from putting judges on the court. So it's not the first time I lived
judges.
through.
This is Supreme Court. And did Bush get a pick on the Supreme Court?
Let's break down why Scott Jennings treats McConnell like the GOP's tactical warlord. McConnell didn't just stop Garland, he rewrote the Senate's playbook. Let the next president decide, they said. 8 months before the election, then fast forward to 2020, Amy Coney Barrett confirmed in a matter of days. Rule flipped. No shame. Jennings says it's not hypocrisy, it's strategy. The Constitution allows it, he insists. No vote required. Just raw, clean power, but that's exactly what sets Maher off and millions who watched in disbelief. It may be legal, but is it democratic?
They gave him a hearing, and then they voted on it. They could have voted him not. We've seen that. Nixon suggested 2 people who they didn't put on the court. You can do that. But you get to actually have a hearing. This was completely unprecedented and unconstitutional and illegal. And by the way, your hero, Mitch McConnell, when they asked him if he would do it again, he said, sure. You know, I mean, and then they did do it again in reverse. When Amy Coney Barrett was put on the court, it was the exact same thing. It was even closer to an election.
It was literally like 3 weeks, a month before the election.
Well, we didn't have divided government then, we had unified government.
That's what I'm saying. It's situational for you.
Right, exactly. It's
It's
just,
a different situation.
Maher doesn't mince words. You can't preach about originalism and treat the Constitution like a fast food menu, only picking what fits your agenda. To him, McConnell didn't just break tradition, he shattered public trust. Blocking Obama with a year left, then ramming through Barrett weeks before an election. Maher says it's not just unfair, it's corrupt. Worse, it sets a precedent that parties can rewrite the rules at will. This debate isn't just about two judges, it's about whether the court remains sacred or becomes just another political weapon.
Why are you guys against the exercising of political power?
That's the exercise of political power is fine. This is unconstitutional. That's what we're against. We're against going outside the law. They wrote it down. It's very clear. Same thing as some of the things Trump is saying now about a third term. It's very clear. It's in the Constitution. Aren't you the guys who carry the little pocket Constitution in your thing?
Yeah.
Don't you have one under your pocket square there?
Yeah.
And it says 2 terms. It says a president gets to pick who is the guy they're going to put up in the Supreme Court.
And it says the Senate has to confirm them. And it says the Senate gets to advise and consent on this.
Right.
And that's up to the Senate on how they do that. It's a co-equal
No,
branch
it's
of
not.
government.
So that is the latest bullshit argument. All right, that was my question.
Why are you guys against the use of political power? Jennings asks. Maher fires back. We're not against using power. We're against abusing it. The Constitution is clear. It spells out terms. It defines limits. Maher mocks the GOP's pocket constitution routine. Don't you carry one under your suit jacket? He says, sure, a president gets to pick. But not like that. Not with this kind of tactical flip-flopping. It's not just about what's legal, it's about what's right.
Okay, Kash Patel says he's shutting down the FBI's D.C. headquarters and moving staff across the country. Should other government agencies be doing the same? That's an interesting proposition. I'm not against that from the get for any reason. I mean, everything probably is too concentrated in Washington. It's a little too incestuous, right?
I have a take on this about the media. I think news organizations should incorporate more bureaus outside of New York, LA, and Washington.
Oh, totally.
Cincinnati and wherever, because the bias in media can, I'm sure you would agree, can be liberal, but it's like less political to me than it is cultural and class-based. And I just hire more reporters in Des Moines, hire fewer reporters in DC.
It wouldn't bother me in the slightest if the Agriculture Department was in Iowa and the Department of Homeland Security was somewhere. I mean, Washington, there's a concentration of people there who only talk to each other. They live in this little bubble. And I think the longer you're in it, the less you have in common with regular Americans. You put some of those government workers out in the middle of the country, they might have a little bit better understanding of how people are feeling about how their government's operating.
Do you work out of Washington?
I live in Kentucky.
The real battle here isn't just legal, it's philosophical. To Jennings, power exists to be used. Win the majority. Use it. No apologies. Maher. He argues power must be restrained by ethics and the Constitution. It's realism versus idealism, winning versus preserving the system. When both sides bend norms for short-term gain, the entire framework of democracy cracks. Maher's not just mad, he's warning us. If this is the new normal, the old rules don't matter. Democracy becomes just another hustle.
What did you make of Donald Trump's post this morning alleging that since I said I hate Taylor Swift, this guy. All the deals, but he still has time for this. You gotta love it. Since I said I hate, she's no longer hot. Or I don't think he means physically hot. I think he means hot in the business. I think, she just finished the biggest tour.
Are you sure he doesn't mean physically hot?
I don't. I do not mean it.
I assume he's criticizing her looks. That was my first reaction.
No,
Oh, no longer.
I don't think he means that. I recall when he went to the Super Bowl earlier this year, he noted at the time that the crowd booed her and cheered him. I think at that point he started to detect that she was faltering with the public. And I will say this
actually. Scott has a point here. I mean, first of all, she made over $1 billion. She's $1 billion on that tour.
Biggest tour ever.
Yeah, like biggest tour ever in history. When she endorsed Kamala Harris right before the election, and it was very sort of, I think it was like an Instagram post or something. Her approval ratings, like people poll this stuff, her approval ratings went up with Democrats, but with Republicans and independents, it actually went down strikingly. Like people don't like celebrities and politicians getting involved in an election.
They really don't. I think it actually hurts.
Yeah, I agree. But that was after her tour, like in the middle. She's fine. She'll be fine. But I don't think she's not
fine.
hot.
Right. She's not unpopular. She's not as hot in the industry now because she just finished a giant tour. So she needs time to, relax and be with that football player.
And this debate keeps circling back to the same rotten truth. Hypocrisy is the real plague in politics. Maher slams Republicans for waving the Constitution like a holy book while ignoring its spirit whenever it's convenient. It's all performative patriotism, he says. Jennings shrugs it off. It's all within legal bounds. But Maher's point lands hard. When legality becomes a loophole, democracy becomes hollow. This isn't just a GOP problem, he says, it's bipartisan. But tonight, the GOP's selective outrage is on full display.